divine order. And as often, topics are chosen in advance, maybe a month in advance or so, and we just never know what Spirit has in mind for us. We just don't know. And I had picked this topic, Let It Be, as a very special song for me, and I will get into that later. But I want to share with you, in case you are not aware this morning, that there has been a one-person attack on a gay bar last night in Orlando, where over 50 people so far have died. And so, my message this morning is going to be a little bit different than originally planned, and I don't know how God and Spirit are going to make that happen, but it will happen. I still cannot understand, God help me understand, how people can carry so much hatred and so much pain within them that they have to lash out that way. And so the answer is always love. It is always love. To hate back just brings more hate. All we can do is love. And so my talk this morning comes from 1 Kings chapter 3, and it is the story of Solomon. Solomon loved the Lord, walking in the statutes of his father David. Only he sacrificed and offered incense at the high places. The king went to Gibeon to sacrifice there, for that was the principal high place. Solomon used to offer 1,000 burnt offerings on that altar. At Gibeon, the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night. And God said, "Ask what I should give you." And Solomon said, "You have shown great and steadfast love to your servant, my father David, because he walked before you in faithfulness and righteousness and in uprightness of heart toward you. And you have kept him, this great and steadfast love, and have given him a son to sit on his throne today. And now, O Lord my God, you have made your servant king in place of my father David, although I am only a little child." Jesus said we must become as little children. It goes on to say, "I do not know how to go out or come in. And your servant is in the midst of the people whom you have chosen, a great people, so numerous they cannot be numbered or counted. Give your servant, therefore, an understanding mind to govern your people, able to discern between good and evil, for who can govern this, your great people?" It goes on to say, "It pleased the Lord that Solomon had asked this. God said to him, 'Because you have asked this and have not asked for yourself life of riches or for life of your enemies, but have asked for yourself understanding to discern what is right, I now do according to your word. Indeed, I give you a wise and discerning mind. No one like you has been before you, and no one like you shall arise after you. I give you also what you have not asked, both riches and honor all your life. No other king shall compare to you. If you will walk in my ways, keeping my statutes and my commandments, as your father David walked, then I will lengthen your life." And finally, then Solomon awoke. It had been a dream. He had come to Jerusalem, where he stood before the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord. He offered up burnt offerings and offerings of well-being, and provided a feast for all his servants. God comes to us in many ways. Sometimes God comes to us in dreams. Sometimes God comes to us in songs. When I find myself in times of trouble. Charles and Myrtle Fillmore were Unity's co and Myrtle said, God is our help in every need, in every need. Turn towards God. God is our help. I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me. When I first heard that song, I was splitting from my first husband, who had a very active, and starting to become very violent case of alcoholism. And at that time, I had a little girl, maybe 1 year old, 2 years old, somewhere in there. And I would have to go backwards from where I worked to drop her off at the babysitter before I went into work every morning. When I first heard that song as I was pulling up to drop her off at a babysitter. And then that song stuck with me. It was when it was popular, so I was hearing it every morning as I was dropping my baby off at the babysitter. It was God's way of letting me know, just to let it be. There would be an answer. There would be an answer. So when we find ourselves in trouble, the answer comes to us that we are comforted, that we can be patient, that we can move through the grief that we're feeling no matter what the situation. And it will be all right, and there will be a way of a deeper understanding happening. Mother Mary at that time was a figure I picked up as the Mother Mary, the Virgin Mother Mary. The truth is that song, when it was written by Paul McCartney, was about his mother, whose name was Mary. And he said, you know, if you want to take it as the Mother Mary, it doesn't make any difference. Whatever the song means to you. And this is what we know about what we believe about God and the Spirit. Whatever it means to us is what is important in the way that we express in life. And so in my hour of darkness, she is standing there in front of me. God comes into our lives and brings into our lives all that we need. And when we're really feeling at our darkest moment, standing right in front of us, right there. Sometimes that solid is a human. Sometimes that solid is a divine knowing. But we are never left alone without knowing the truth that we are divinely taken care of. So we're in that place whenever we're in our dark moments of fear, of having messages all about us, whether it's in a dream or whether it's in a song, whether it's on a billboard or whether it's something that somebody says to us that says, I am here. I created you. I'm going to take care of my creation. We just need to be able to open up to that. So let it be means at that point, don't try to stop whatever happens. Don't try to deny what's ever happening. Be in that place of acceptance. It's happening. It's happened. Because until we reach that place of acceptance, we can't move forward. We can't get our comfort. We cannot get our peace. We sit in the pain. When all the broken-hearted people living in the world agree, what a line, what a line. What would we agree on? What would we agree on? What we would agree on is that pain is not good. Pain hurts. That's what we would agree on. Pain hurts. And though they may be parted, there is still a chance that they may see, that they will see. I eventually ended up parting from my first husband. I could not make that marriage work because divine order was saying it wasn't going to work. I could stay and probably end up being a statistic, or I could move forward and keep my daughter from being a statistic as well. And so we moved forward, step by step, hearing the song over and over and over again, following the messages that were coming forth, telling me that life would return to good, that there would be peace in my heart. There is a story of Solomon that, okay, he's had had his dream, and then he woke. And then what happened? That in that story, Solomon was in a position to judge. 2 prostitutes came to him with 1 baby. And the mother of the baby said, there were the 2 of us in the room, and there were 2 babies, no other witnesses. It's your word against my word. And the 1 baby was dead. And so the one mother said, this is my baby, and the other one said, no, it isn't. Another woman said, well, you stole my baby. And so they argued before the king. And what does Solomon do? He used that discerning moment to say, okay, bring me a sword. I will just cut the baby in half. We'll take care of it. There's a couple things I want to point out here. Number 1, there was no witness. Number 2, we were dealing with what they considered prostitutes in the day. So there were no husbands involved. And you might think at that point in time that there might be some callousness about a prostitute's child and whether it was even worth it. If they were callous enough to say, well, we'll just take this baby and break it in 2. Where is the love there? Where is the love there? But you see, Solomon was actually coming from the place of love because he knew that the divine and right mother to that child would not allow that to happen. Indeed, the mother said, oh no, let her have the child. And then he knew who the mother was. That was expression. That was coming forth with that divine expression of discernment that Solomon only got from being open to God, from being that servant. So when all the broken-hearted people living in the world agree, though they may be parted, there is still a chance that they will see. They will see. Let it be. Don't try to control it. Don't try to hassle it. Take it to God. Allow those discerning moments to keep you in patience until you come forth with what you need. When you get to that, let it be to the divine order of expression. When you get to that point where you move into that awakening moment of the truth, when the night is cloudy, there is still a light that shines on me. When we're in that not knowing, when we're in that place where our patience is wearing thin, where we really want to hassle, but we know the hassling is no good, then we know that it is time to truly let go and allow divine order to express through there. There is still a light that shines on me. Shine until tomorrow. That candle never goes out. That candle within us never goes out. And then it goes on to say, I awake up to the sounds of music. There is that lifting, that vibration, that bringing forth the good and the joy. Mother Mary comes to me. There will be an answer. Let it be. So how do we get to that point? We dream, we listen, we express. We do it through prayer. Cora, Charles Fillmore's second wife, and Charles wrote, and teach us to pray. We should bear in mind that God is our silent partner and that his wisdom and his strength, his energy and skill are ours to use. In unity, we don't beg, we affirm. It's right there. We can move past the dream. We have a dream. We want joy. We want peace. We can move into using that God Spirit within us to love. And when we go to prayer, we pray through listening, again, not through begging, but through listening. Some will say, how do you know the still small voice? How do you know it's God's voice and not your voice talking? Sometimes it sounds a little cloudy. Charles said in Mysteries of John, if a man follows his Holy Spirit, the one teacher, if he concentrates on the power of the Word, and holds continuously for the leading of the Spirit of truth, he will enter into a state of spiritual discernment in which he can readily distinguish the still small voice, like Solomon did. And finally, how do we get to that point of expression through prayer practice? Myrtle says, haven't you seen that prayer is only preparatory measure, and that it must be followed by action based on what you have prayed for? So if you're not seeing peace in this life and you've prayed for love, you've got to be that love. If you're in a place where you're looking for answers, then you have to be open to the answers. Pray without ceasing. Pray daily. Pray often. Pray in thanksgiving. In the beginning of the Bible is Genesis, and it says, let there be. Let there be. Let it be. Discernment is a gift. We, like Solomon, need to want it and need to put it into practice. We listen, perhaps, to a song. Then we must sing it. I challenge you this week to identify what your song is. What song in a crisis moment has played over and over in your mind that has given you solace, that has given you patience, that has led you on your way? Are you living it? Start today. Let it be. God bless you.